Hi readers! How are you today? I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty well.
We are going to talk about our Christmas haul, book haul. We got books for presents, we got Barnes & Noble and Books A Million gift cards for presents, we got Amazon presents, the books, so we got books. I'm going to be honest, some of my books are from the wish list and all, but it's books that I don't remember too much. I remember when I added it that I wanted to read it, but now I don't remember why.
We'll just get into it. We got a lot to go through, so I think we'll just rattle them off, and if you remember anything,
Yeah.
you know.
Like for instance, this is a perfect example. Albert.
He's French, so it's Albert Camus.
Okay.
He's a French philosopher, or was a French philosopher.
So he wrote books, The Plague and The Stranger. And surprisingly, I heard about these books through a gamer YouTuber, not a booktuber. So
I've been trying to. I've had those books on my wish list for years. I just haven't got around to buying them or reading them, but they're both supposedly very good.
Well, I mean, he won a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, The Plague is about people dealing with a plague. You know, they're living through it, like what we're living through now.
That one I did know.
And The Stranger, I forget what that one's about. So.
Yeah, and I even read Goodreads, and it's still kind of like it's something to do with a murder. I'm not sure though, and how this man deals with it.
Anyway, either way, they're both supposed to be really good books, so we'll see.
I think they're cool looking.
Yeah, I like the covers on those too.
Mm-hmm. Just grab a book.
Well, you got so many more as usual, so you want to grab one more, and then I'll do one.
I have decided, after many booktube videos I've watched, that One Piece is something that I need to look into. So my darling husband got me the first volume, so I'm pretty excited.
My first book is Johnny Got His Gun by Dalton Trumbo. It's supposed to be a pretty matter-of-fact war novel about making the world safe for democracy. America! So, it won the National Book Award. Highly regarded book, but pretty excited about reading that. That's also been on my wish list for years on Amazon.
So then I got Small Spaces. This one is actually a recent add to my Amazon wish list. And I still don't remember exactly. It's a middle grade, I know that much. And I think they're kind of like, well, obviously, I don't know if you can see that, but it looks pretty dang creepy. I think it's about a school trip. I also got I, Robot, which is by Asimov. And actually, I think we originally had an I, Robot book, but it had Will Smith on the cover.
No, I never had that.
Oh, is it the I Am Legend that you have Will Smith on the cover?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, anyway, I don't like movie or TV or any of that stuff, adaptations on books. Like, I feel like you're taken away from the graphic designer.
Yeah, and also because the adaptations are usually terrible.
I always get books that are not to do with that.
Those adaptation covers can go either way for a book because somebody could see the book cover and not like the adaptation. Like, say, for instance, the I, Robot movie or whatever it is. And be like, oh, I didn't like that movie. I don't want to read that book. And then they never read it and find out actually how good the Asimov, the robot stories, the 3 laws are. These are really cool short stories, by the way. I think you'll really enjoy them because they have a lot of the issues have to do with ethics and morality regarding the robots and how they get around the 3 laws, that govern them and stuff. So I always enjoyed Asimov. My next one is The Eye of Argon. Probably never heard of this one because I hadn't. It's regarded by Jim Thies. It's regarded as a cult underground sensation of a short novel or novella. It was published in a fanzine and then published here. So I was really curious about how good it is because of its cult status. So I got it.
The next series that I got was won a Hugo Award for Best Series. The first one's called The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And then I don't know how these go, but there's the rest of them. Like I said, I don't know how the series, like which one's second, which one's third, so forth and so on. But really, so far, I've already actually read this one. This first one, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I've actually read this very, very, very recently. And so far, what I'm understanding is that it's almost like a slice of life, but in space. Because it's like a lot of characters. Things happen, like adventure does happen, but it is taken care of pretty quickly. Like it's not like, so it's almost like a sitcom, like a 90s sitcom. Like things are able to be nice and wrapped and done and moved on to the next. It's more about the characters and the way they live their life and the way they think so far. What I'm understanding from reading the first one. So the next ones that we got was actually both on our lists together. It's The Name of the Wind and The Wise Man's Fear. And again, I've heard a lot about this, but I really don't know too much about what the books are about.
It's fantasy.
I'm very excited to actually start this because I've heard lots of good things about this, especially the first book.
My next book, now that I know it's my turn, I got the cue, is My Side of the Mountain by Jean Craighead George. I don't know if they're French, so I'll just pronounce it like it's English. This is about a guy who isn't happy and decides to take the bare necessities with him and run away to the mountains. So I've always kind of wanted to do that myself. Get away from civilization for a while. I'm pretty interested in reading it. And this guy doesn't die like in Into the Wild.
I'm actually kind of interested in it. I've never even heard of that until you showed it to me when you got it. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to talk about is actually one that I'm very, 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 very excited about because I am a huge Buffy and Angel fan from the TV show.
Buffy, who's that?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh.
Anyway, so it is about, it's called In Every Generation. And so this, if you've ever watched Buffy the Vampire, the TV show.
Forcibly having to watch it with your girlfriend also counts.
Yes. Yes, it does. Multiple times. So it is supposed to be taking place after the series ended. The only other thing that I know is that it is about one certain Slayer. Spoilers for anyone who has not watched the series.
It's like 20 years old. We're well beyond spoilers.
Buffy happens to give the power of the Slayer. Like if you were to be a chosen one, like it could be in your fate, then the power was able to go to all of you. And so one of the Slayers got her powers, and it goes from there. And it's by Kendra Blake, and I've read her series, and I enjoyed the Three Crown series, so I know it's an author that I might really like.
Yes. My next one is One Punch Man. I'm pretty excited to read this. I couldn't find this one on Amazon or the big retailers either, which, it's not a big deal. I don't want to spend all my money with Amazon. Nobody should. I mean, look how big they are now. But I enjoyed the first season of the anime, and I've always wanted to read the manga, so pretty cool. Pretty cool. We have some of the similar features. We're both bald, although I think he shaves his head on purpose.
I mean,
who knows? It's awesome. It's an awesome manga. It kind of subverts the superhero genre by the type of character he is and his powers, and he's ridiculously strong. One Punch Man. I mean, he's called that for a reason.
All right, so the next one that I got was called A Curse of Dark and Lonely. It's a series I wanted to start. This has to do with, it's like almost like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. That's what I'm being told. There's 2 others after this, so I don't know if it's the same characters or if it's different stories. Kind of like a set of retellings, and I love retellings. It's like one of my favorite things to read.
Reinterpretation?
Yeah. And then I also, to go along with the stickers, I also got The Extraordinaries, which is a T.G. Klune book, author. And the reason I got this was only because I love T.G. Klune's other book. I can't ever say the color. Yeah.
House.
That one, I enjoyed it a lot, and this one he wrote before that one, so I figured this is a 2-book series, so I figured I would enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed the first book that I read.
The Dog Stars by Peter Heller. It's about a guy who survives a pandemic with his dog, and I think he gets some kind of signal or something, or picks up a radio broadcast and decides to leave the safety of his hangar and venture forth. I really like post-apocalyptic novels, and it's a national bestseller, so obviously a lot of people like it.
Another book that I never heard of until you got it. Now it sounds interesting and I want to read it. The first one I'm going to talk about is called the Across the Green Grass Fields. This is the Wayward Children's book 6, I believe, because 7 is not out yet, or it just came out. It's the Drowned Girls. This one is the 6th one in the series, and I've read all 5 before this, and so I'm just going along with these little novellas. And then I also got the book called The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. This apparently is almost like a Agatha Christie. I just saw her name. It's kind of like written like that, but it goes in like different perspectives. And I guess they relive the day in hopes to prevent Evelyn Hardcastle to die, or it's from each perspective, and you keep reliving the day trying to figure out who killed her. I can't remember exactly which way. The story is retold over and over and over again, kind of like Groundhog Day, but from different points of view instead. And the reason I said Agatha Christie is because I bought one of her books, Death on the Nile. I read a couple of hers. She's still on the fence for me. I can't decide which way I want to go with her, if I like her or not. Her writing style is just fine, but her endings, some of them are kind of far-fetched. I get that she wants to twist and she wants to pull the rug under you, but when it's like, that wasn't a fair ending or what have you, then I don't feel the same satisfaction as I usually do reading mysteries. So, but she's still on the fence, so here's another one I'll read to decide on whether I like her or not.
All right, my next one is another war novel. This is a classic memoir of World War I combat, Storm of Steel by Ernst Junger. This is from the German perspective. You might get that from the name, Ernst Junger, but it is a well-regarded memoir of World War I. There's a theme going here with some of these books about war and such. I've always been a fan of reading about combat and the experience and all that. That's probably why I'm a big Warhammer 40K fan. If you haven't seen my recent ridiculous video, I'll post a link to it. It's kind of silly, but I had fun making it.
So the next couple of books that I got was because if you watched my Alone video of talking about the greatest books that I read this past year, one of them was Christian Hannah, and there was 2 books, and one of them was my top-rated book, The Nightingale. So let's continue with Christian Hannah 11. So I went ahead and got a couple more of her books, Night Road and Winter Garden. So I'll just add that to my collection of hers. I've got like 5 or 6 of her books, and so I'm very eager now, especially after reading a second just as good book as the first. I am very eager to continue with her as an author.
My next one, you guys may have heard of this setting or story, is Dragon Ball.
Oh, good Lord.
I got it's the original Dragon Ball, so when Goku was a boy, that's him. And it's the first 3-in-1 volume, so it's pretty beefy. I grew up watching this when I was younger and really, really enjoyed it. And then Dragon Ball Z came along around the time I hit my teenage years, and so I was like, whoa, it's so cool. You know, they're like flying through the air and beating the crap out of each other and traveling to other planets. And, you know, I've always been into martial arts. I've trained martial arts and boxing and stuff, so it's always fun to, you know, throw your imagination into settings like this because it's very rewarding, you know. My only complaint with Dragon Ball Z and stuff is that it's very melodramatic. There's a lot of filler at times, especially in like the cartoon. But I'm hoping that the manga, this is not like that. But then again, I still like it. So what can you say? It's like a guilty pleasure. So
Yeah. I also had The Siren was a good book on my list, and that was done by Kara Cass. I went ahead and bought a couple more of her books. I mean, these aren't very highly rated, though. I think one of these actually got a 2 as Goodreads. But I'm still going to try it out and see what happens. Maybe I can just like really just know that I'm going to hate them and have that kind of hate read.
to each his own, though, you know.
Yeah. The Betrothed and the Betrayed. I'm actually told that the first one, I've read reviews that the first one is a 2-star, and then this is like almost like a 3.5 star. So apparently the second one's better than the first one, even though usually that's not how it goes.
Maybe her writing skill improved. A big departure from the books I've shown so far It is one of the world's great fantasy classics, T.H. White's The Once and Future King. I've also had this on my wish list for years. There's a theme here with these books that have been on my wish list for years. I finally decided to just buy them, get it over with, and at least have them. Because every time I go to the store, no matter where it is, there's only one or no copies of this. So at some point, I figured there's going to be no copies because things eventually go out of print unless they become successful in trend or something. So I've always heard great things of this book. And it's about King Arthur, of course, if you don't know. And I've always been a big fan of the King Arthur legend and the various ideas about whether it was real or not and what it's based on. So hopefully it's really good. I don't think I'll be disappointed with this one.
So a few more that I'm going to talk about. Lisa Jewell, Watching You. I found this in a clearance area. And I like Lisa Jewell as a thriller writer. And so I don't know what this book is about, like many of these, but I know the author, and I enjoy the author a lot, so I might as well just go ahead and buy whatever she writes.
That's a pretty safe bet, because, especially when you like the author, it's fun to go in blind to a book, because it's usually rewarding.
Then you're really shocked. Yeah, then you're really surprised.
It's like movies these days. If you watch the trailer, you pretty much see every story beat that happens, and that's kind of annoying. That's part of the reason why I don't really like watching movie trailers anymore, because most of them just give everything away in the trailer to entice you to come. So they're willing to do that. But except for trailers like Cabin in the Woods, if you remember that movie,
oh God, yeah.
It looked like it was a straight up horror movie, and then it's way more than that. So in case anybody hasn't seen that movie, Cabin in the Woods, you should definitely watch it. It's very entertaining.
Another one that was on both our lists, and we got at Barnes & Noble, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Noel. And all I know is this is almost like a historical fiction, but that's all I've got pretty much.
Is that the same author as Piranesi or whatever? It just looked familiar. I haven't read that book. The name seems familiar. Oh, well, there you go.
Mm-hmm. So it's all I got is that it is historical fiction. Do you know it was on your list too? So.
There's a lot of books like on your list. We have two separate reading lists, one for each of us. And like she said before we started the video, or what maybe at the start of the video, depending on how editing goes. A lot of books, we don't even remember why we added them, but we knew in the moment we wanted to read them, or what we read about them was interesting, and so we added them. I do it just so I don't have to try to remember it later.
Oh, definitely.
Because I won't.
It's almost like a list that I've created just so that
it's like a shopping list, but it doesn't expire.
Right. And then I got another middle grade called Night Books, and this is also a middle grade, and it's also supposed to be kind of spooky, creepy kind of a middle grade book. So, and it's obviously to do with books and to do with it looks like a library. I like books about books. Those are the best kind.
What about books within books?
That too. I'm alright with that.
You didn't like that horror novel. You didn't even finish it.
Which one is that?
A screenplay within a book or something.
Oh, yeah, House of Leaves. Well, there's a lot more than that. I mean, that's not the only part.
I do want to read it, but it looks really convoluted from just flipping through the pages.
So the next one that I got, I hear a lot of good things about. It's called The One.
Never heard of it.
John Mars. The reason it's a thriller. Okay.
Wow.
I know.
Surprise.
It's shocking. Apparently there is a DNA test, and it is like an entire system, and it connects you with your soulmate based by blood. And
that seems far-fetched.
There are some people who are soulmates who
That sounds like a Match.com gimmick. We can match you by your blood type now.
Yeah.
$49.95 a month.
Pretty much, yeah. Because there's like a detective, and her match is a mass murderer.
It'd be way
stuff
more
like
than
that.
It'd be way more expensive than that if it really worked.
Well, yeah.
Like thousands of dollars.
So it's from different couples' perspectives that have gone through this.
I'm going to guess there's an error in there at some point in the book.
Oh, I'm
so
sure
you're just going to have to follow up with that when you finish reading it.
Another one I got was Stephen
Chbosky. That's what it sounds like.
Imaginary Friend. I don't know anything about this other than someone I know told me that I should definitely read it. And so I trust this person, so I'm going to read this book.
My last two are pretty cool, if I do say it for myself. The first one is the Infinity Gauntlet graphic novel. So this covers the Infinity Gauntlet 1 through 6, so the whole thing. As you can see, there's a lot more people involved in this than in the MCU. Figured I'd finally get around to reading it since, we've watched all the MCU movies, especially the Infinity Gauntlet related ones a few times. So this should be pretty cool. The next one is Frank Miller's Ronin. Ronin, if you don't know, is a masterless samurai. And so I believe he goes to avenge the murder of his master. I love revenge tales. This is a revenge tale as far as I know. So I'm sure, Sworn to Vengeance. Yeah, becomes a masterless samurai Ronin. So I have not been disappointed by Frank Miller yet. So I really think I'll enjoy this. Probably do a review on it.
Trustful kind of thing, like my...
Oh yeah, Frank Miller is awesome. Sin City, his run on Batman and Daredevil, all really good. Definitely recommend those if you're into comics. Frank Miller is a legend. And that's all I got.
Well, I've got...
Thanks for watching, guys.
I've got 3 more to talk about.
Oh, sorry.
One of them is definitely a book that has been on my wish list since I very started the wish list, so I have no idea anything about it. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Is that the name of a Shakespeare play? It sounds familiar. Something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look it up later.
Well, ladies who compare notes on their husband's suicides is the first sentence.
Oh, that sounds terrible and tragic.
Sounds kind of cool to me.
Go figure.
Next is Neon Gods by Kate Robert. I don't know anything about this book either, but Katie Robert is the one that did The Wicked Villains, the smut series that I told you about in a different video. That is like the Disney villains.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, she's talked about it several times.
I mean, so this author is good. Obviously, I enjoy her. Might as well do the next series that she started on, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've got like 20 Dan Abnett novels, so I can't talk at all. But I enjoyed every single one of them, hands down. So I'll plug his name as much as I need to.
The next one is The Flight Attendant. And even though I didn't know it was an HBO Max show, so I plan on watching that after I'm done, because I always like doing that, whether or not it's supposed to be good or not. And so it's about a flight attendant.
Shocking.
That wakes up. She has like a free spirit kind of girl, and she wakes up one day in a hotel. She has no idea, have a memory of how she got there, but the guy that she slept with is dead. She doesn't know what happened. That's all I got for you.
Typical story.
That's all you need. Typical story.
Oof.
So that is my last book. So now we are done.
All right. Well, as usual, she got way more than I did. But I didn't ask for books for Christmas. That's why I didn't get very many.
Oh, that's all I
She
want.
did, yeah. She said, buy from my book list or whatever.
Book.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. I don't understand why people are against getting it.
I'm not. In hindsight, that may have been a mistake on my part.
No, not the first. Well, I mean, I didn't understand that either. But like when people are like, I don't want to get you a bunch of books. Why?
I mean,
if you're asking me what I want and I tell you I want books, why feel bad to get a book?
Have a giant list of a wish list of books, and there's like 300 books on there. I would think that's a safe gift to buy.
We always forget, if you guys are enjoying us at all and you enjoy what we do here at this channel, subscribe, please. We will be more than willing to take your subscription. Comment down below what you got for Christmas if you got books. If you made it this far, you are the real MVP. You don't like that? That's fine. Okay, so anyway, thank you for coming. Bye-bye.